Hey guys, we are back with the Heart of the Swarm GSTL Pre-Season. I'm Wolf, with me is Kaldor. We got an older team coming back. They have not been playing a lot of Wings of Liberty in Korea. They've been playing a lot of Heart of the Swarm. They have a lot to prove today.
They definitely do. In the last season, they were eliminated very, very early, and HoSeo was in a lot of trouble, and a lot of people were speculating if they could really pull through or if they would have to disband. But they are back. They are back, and apparently with a vengeance. They already announced yesterday that they have a lot of new players, and they want to prove themselves not only in the GSTL Pre-Season, but also in the next Team League season.
Yeah. Got a player like Joxy, who is a GSL Code S champion, who has basically fallen off the face of the tournament. Nobody knows where he's been or what he's been doing. People can speculate. This guy who's now was in the center of the camera for just a second has been playing a ton of Heart of the Swarm. Nobody really knows, but we're going to find out today, I think, how good he really is.
I'm pretty excited to see them play in Heart of the Swarm now. As you already said, they had a lot of time to prepare. Yesterday's results on screen right now when we had FX Open versus the Prime team, and FXO took it with strong performances by Choya and JKS.
Yeah, they weren't really messing around, doing a lot of special timing attacks. Lucky starting off with a Roach Burrow Rush, Choya doing some timings, and then JKS finishing things off with a one-base Bandling Bust. They were not messing around at all. They just wanted the win.
Yeah, they exploited the fact that their opponents didn't scout as well as they should have. And here we go, Team MVP with Killer to the far left, bantering around with the rest of the team. And he is also our starting player today. Going organic.
This is so Killer, man. This is exactly, every time I see him in the makeup room, he gives me nothing short than that. In fact, usually it's a little bit more extreme, but...
yeah, Killer having fun.
Yeah. Killer is such a fun guy. He just loves to just get some banter out there, you know.
Definitely. He arrived in the next round of Code A. He's going to play, I think, is it tomorrow? Is it the day after? I'm not quite sure. I think he plays on Wednesday. He is up against Zoo, against the Zerg player. That's his next match in Wings of Liberty. Today, of course, we have Heart of the Swarm on the table. But first, before we go into the lineup of Team MVP, here is the lineup of HoSeo.
Yeah, you can see they've got quite a few new players.
Yeah, and a lot of players are missing. And no Freaky, no Seal.
Freaky, no Seal. The only classic players you really have in here are Joxy, Brave, Tassadar, and Salvation. I call him a classic, but honestly, he was never really one of their top-tier players.
I'm happy to see Tassadar still in the roster, though.
Yeah, Tassadar is still here, still holding strong.
Okay, I like him already.
Yeah, I'm not even sure which one that is, to be honest, but I think we're going to learn to like him pretty fast.
What was that? Best move ever.
I think he needs to take some lessons from Killer on how to make some poses a little bit more appropriately. But here is the MVP roster, looking as strong as ever. So many snipers on this team, including MVP Sniper himself, DRG, Killer being the coach and the starting player today. You've got Keen. Never forget players like Noble S, even Lure.
Yeah, and also Shine, a familiar face, but we haven't seen him on this roster just yet. Well, it's not really true, but not in Team League.
To me, I feel like MVP going into this season is the strongest team we have. They have too much depth to be trifled with at this point. They have so many good players from all the races. They have a lot of skill on their team. Killer is... Alright, well...
Woo! Yeah, that didn't work too well with the left.
I'm not sure if it's the dog about to go to the bathroom pose or the I can kick really high, but I have to use my hand to do it pose. I'm not really sure what's going on with these.
I love it already. Okay, I'm waiting for the reaction of the new kid.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Well,
we don't have him?
I thought we were going to have maybe some sort of back and forth leg banter going on, some sort of leg versus leg battle of the poses.
They probably would start sniffing each other very soon.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if I really want to see that.
From the rear, maybe some barking. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit, well, but I like the new kid. I want to see him in the booth today.
Yeah.
I want to see him play.
So do I, and I think we may see just that.
Yeah. And HoSeo has to bring a lot of the new players into the game. And really important, of course, also, as you already said, MVP is just looking so strong. It's not going to be easy to defeat them.
Yeah, it's really not. For HoSeo, this is their first Team League after rebuilding for 6 months. That's very true. You can see Joxy down there at the bottom left, obviously being basically the key player on their team.
Team spirit was a little bit, I don't want to say it was a bit of a problem, not the team spirit itself, but it was just very hard for them to get motivated after they had some crushing defeats in the Team League.
Sporting the classic colors on their new jersey as well. I really like to see that. Just their jersey has been the most unchanged, I feel, over the years. Just keeping their jerseys straight up red and white. You can see DRG is looking ready here right now.
I'm sorry, DRG, but Killer definitely outclassed you there. That was just
like
that
DRG, that was not creative at all. That's MC did that once, and you're a little bit behind. I mean, I think initially we had Zenio back in the day with the backhand, but
yeah. Well, he tried there. He tried. He put in a valiant effort, but it was just not enough.
It was clearly he felt a little bit like he had to do it, but he didn't really have much time to think about it.
Yeah. Killer and the new kid, they were definitely a little bit better here.
Yeah. This is going to be an exciting match. For me, it just... If you're just looking at the MVP roster, how can they lose? I mean, they have such good players, but also such good depth and snipers.
I'm actually wondering right now if the player that we just saw with the Banda, if that's our starting player today. We know his name, of course, it's Sanai, but we don't know quite yet how exactly he looks like.
Or how to pronounce that, so we'll find that out.
No, I know. I asked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sanai.
Okay.
That was the first thing that I did when I came here. I read that name and I'm like, well, I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce that.
I thought the same thing, but what I thought was you and I would struggle through it together until Ken told us what's really going on in game. He would tell us.
Look, I didn't even think that far. I didn't think about Ken.
Yeah, man. By the way, look at these two teams coming in here. This is a classic. This is just such a classic battle, MVP versus NS HoSeo. It's the dominant team right now, the team with the players all over Codas versus the team with nobody in the individual leagues who've been hiding in the darkness.
I'm stealing your thunder here, but I feel that Hassada kind of needs a haircut. Did you see that?
I actually didn't see that. I will look back again.
He's going for Stefano style.
Oh, wow.
At least it looked a little bit like it. Someone needs to get the clippers right now.
Yeah, I'd love to get him on camera for just a moment again here. Here is the NS HoSeo team. A bunch of new players, some classics, some oldies in here as well. Ready to go. Putting the hands in. This is their day to prove themselves. This is just an exhibition match. This is the preseason, but they really do have to give a good showing here, and no one's going to take them seriously in the regular season.
Team MVP is just crazy. They are so good, and for NS HoSeo, it's definitely no luck meeting them in the first round. There we have Shine, we have Killer. Where's the commander? I haven't seen the commander yet with his pogo stick.
Yeah, he might be hiding.
Yeah.
But Shine, he looks so different with that MVP jersey on. He's got different hair and everything, but it's the same Shine to me. I see his face from afar, and I'm like, there he is, man. I can't believe.
I don't think that Keen is actually here. I haven't seen him yet in the backstage area, and I don't think he's sitting on the booth. So if he's not in the bathroom, then he is probably on vacation.
Yeah, he may not, in fact, be here today. We're going to find out, because I think if he is, he will probably come out.
The thing that you have to remember is that it's going to be a best of 7 or a best of 9, so the teams don't have to be here with their entire roster.
Yeah.
This is also a pre-season tournament, so if Keen is just having a vacation and maybe he's at his family's place, I don't know. Whatever the reason is, but it looks like he's not on the team bench today.
He may be practicing for some other matches right now that he's working on, and his team wants to maybe show some new players that they haven't been able to show before. For example, Shine, showing his stuff as now being a Zerg player on MVP.
There's just so much strength and so much depth on this roster that they can certainly live with 1 or 2 players missing. That's not going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the roster earlier. It's pretty thick. There's so many good snipers, so many good build order players who could come in and turn things around if you're in trouble. But they also have the solid lineup. And leading the charge is Killer, of course, of all players. So having him out first, I think, is a great choice for the team morale. He's somebody that has changed the team so much. They've said this in interviews a lot. As soon as Killer came in, the team got a little bit more focused. He really improved the mindset of all the players.
He's just contributing a lot to the team atmosphere just in general. And you could really see already in the makeup area back there when we had those backstage shots that he is one of those players who is just bringing the energy into the team.
Yeah, he's all about the fun. You know, he wants to make the team house not only a good environment for practice, but also to have a lighthearted environment as well, where there can be some joking around and making sure the players are all together on a friendly level as well as a competitor level.
Yep. So MVP verse is starting with Killer today against NS HoSeo, and NS HoSeo was going for a Sanae player that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
We have no information about him.
Yeah, I searched the cracks of the internet. I was looking through all the file cabinets. I couldn't find any information on him. He's been a bit secret.
Yep, but
we're going to see what he looks like.
I think it's actually, he's probably the kid that we saw in the backstage area. No, he's not.
Well, here he is.
What is the Hoff's experience? Is
0.
that how many Hoffs he visited in Korea? How strong is his drinking experience here?
He can only drink half a bottle of soju, 0.5, before he's totally drunk.
Guys, all the places where you can get beer in Korea are called Hoffs.
Yes.
So this is not about Heart of the Swarm. This is definitely an 0.5. He can take the 0.5 beers, I feel, but with the 0.3, he's still struggling.
Yeah.
It's not enough for him.
Exactly. Well, you know, this guy could be one of our new SEALs, one of our new Freakies.
Yep.
This is somebody who's a new NS HoSeo Zerg, and they have put out nothing but strong Zergs in the past. And this is Killer Songho himself. He doesn't know which way to put his headset on. Now he's figured it out. He's got 30 experience in Heart of the Swarm.
I was told once that with the headset you always have to wear it the way so that the cable is to the left. I didn't know that up to this point. It was a while back, but still, maybe they told you something new, I don't know.
Yeah, well, for us, we have reversible headsets. So if you take that rule, you're wearing your headset backwards.
Yeah, but I have to because, well, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There is certain etiquette in the headset wearing on camera. We follow that etiquette.
To the top left, we have Shine. To the bottom left, of course, the coach. To the bottom right, we have Keen. He snuck in, so he's in the studio after all. Nice, I like it.
Keen is here, and I hope we get to see him today. That would be great.
Don't forget that Keen is... there we have him. New guy.
Yeah, mystery man.
I like him. Yeah, Keen is playing against Rain in in Kodana next, so this is going to be quite the interesting match. Don't forget that the victor of Keen versus Rain then has to face Flash.
Yes, this is a pretty insane bracket that we're going to see coming up. Things are not all about Heart of the Swarm 100% just yet out here in Korea. Zerg versus Protoss, the map is Howling Peak. Not a good map for Forge Fast Expand, so will we see Killer try to do a Gateway Expand, or perhaps even an all-in off one base with Stargate, Fast Start Templar type of pressure? I don't think we're going to see a Forge Fast Expand because if his opponent knows knows the type of build that you can do on this map, I mean, if he checks and sees a Forge Fast Expand, all he has to do is run around the other side with a bunch of lings and the game is over.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned those NS HoSeo jackets earlier and that they are basically the same style that they were the entire time, but I have to say I like them. They are classic already.
They really are.
I really think they look pretty good.
I love it. Every time I see it in an NS HoSeo player, you can just, it really stands out. I'm
not thinking the MVP orange too much, but well, that's just my personal opinion. Who's going to be the stronger player? That's one thing that we're finding out now here at the GSTL Pre-Season tournament. We have Sanai versus Killer. It's our opening match. GSTL brought to you by Carlon. Our Zerg player to the top right, one of the newer additions to the lineup of NS HoSeo. It is
NS HoSeo Sanai.
Sanai. And there he is. This is his debut appearance. Broadcasted match. He's up against a big fan favorite, longtime StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 player. His name is Songho. His ID is
MVP Killer.
No longer calling himself Baby Bye Bye. Thank thank everybody who sent him messages telling him to change that one.
The funny thing is that Killer, we joked about all these shadow killers and ninja assassins yesterday, but Killer, it's sad that you have an ID where Killer is an improvement.
Yeah.
It certainly suits him, so don't get me wrong.
I was going to say he wears it well.
Yeah.
He certainly does.
He wears it well, but still, it says something if you had an ID where everyone says it's like, okay, Killer is much better.
Yeah. Well, I have switched back to full-time Protoss in Heart of the Swarm these days, and I have to say this map is downvoted. I do not play on it. It's a very difficult map to Forge Fast Expand on because of that backdoor wall, and then even once you do expand, you're always going to have to deal with those annoying run-bys. Double gas here before core from Killer, so he's going to be teching pretty quickly behind his Gateway Expand. And again, I say Gateway Expand because Korean players generally have a tendency to expand, but on this map, we may see something totally different.
I already like the scouting pattern of Sanai. The new NS HoSeo player is scouting with the drone, is making sure that he's not being cannoned here. And one of the things that you already pointed out, you don't have necessarily to go into a Forge Expand at this point anymore. With the Mothership Core and other tools, you can definitely have an expansion a little bit safer now as a Protoss, so it's not longer needed to immediately start with the Forge. This was something the Protoss player discovered in Wings of Liberty. If you want to expand with the Forge Expand, you're always safer. So Sanai is going for the hatch first because he knows this. He knows there's not necessarily going to be a Forge opening, so Cannon Rush might not not be the weapon of choice for Killer to punish an early hatch. But he still scouts with the drone, making 100% sure that there is no pylons that block in a cannon and force him to cancel his expansion.
It's really important if you go for a hatch first to check for this. But I like his choice to go hatch first, knowing that forged fast expands are pretty rare on this map. And he will need to get his gas, as he's already done, because of the pressure that he now may face from Killer on one base. He needs to be able to have speed out ASAP. It's not something you can skip against a one basing Protoss.
He saw only one gas. Really important here to note. He does not know that there's a second assimilator. And for Killer, we now have, after the Overlord left the base, we have the Stargate tech. So Sanae is a little bit what he knows here. I actually think that he assumed that his Overlord was in range of the extractor.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that. So at this point, he's working on the assumption that there's one gas.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason otherwise for him to have not checked. He would have been able to still escape with his Overlord. So Mothership Core will pop out here. That's a lot of gas spent for Killer on that Mothership Core, but he is going to totally cut production here. One Mothership Core and one Stalker, that's all he wants to make this Nexus. And I feel we will see a Void Ray come out of the Stargate, but looks like he wants to go Oracle, which is a little bit tougher to get drone kills with Queens out there, but you can still definitely pull it off.
Expansion and follow-up for Killer here, and don't forget that we have a speed upgrade for Sanae really early in the game now, if you compare to Wings of Liberty, and the Ling is getting in.
Yeah, this is unfortunate, but a nice little attempt there. That was Sanae.
Was important for the Zerg.
Absolutely. Now he knows the Stargate is there. He knows the Nexus as well as the Mothership Core. He has all the information he needs. Starts the Spore Crawler immediately. And he's putting on Ling aggression here with speed. This is really tough to defend. He may even have to use the Oracle defensively.
There's a lot coming out of Sanae now. He's going for the second cybernetic score. Here come the Zerglings. Speed not kicking in just yet. The probe gone. Mothership Core is the only structure or the only unit that is currently defending, and Speed now completed. He could try to run up into the main base, and that's exactly what he does.
He could try to trap the Stalker, but the Stalker is nicely placed in hold position. Doesn't have infinity hit points. Here comes that Oracle, but it's not going to take very many hits from neither the Queen nor the Spore. He's not going to be able to get very many kills here.
Has to be really careful. Immediately hightails it out here, and right now follow up with Void Rays for Killer.
This is why I felt the Void Ray was going to be what we saw first, because the Oracle does not offer much aggression once it's scouted. And the Void Ray, having it out earlier, would have been a little bit more useful here in this situation, but he still will defend.
Yeah. Another kill on the probes now for the Zerg player. Doing really well here. Pressuring Killer a little bit. He knows about the Void Ray now. We already have first Overlord being killed, so the Void Ray has been shown. Killer doesn't use the Stargate at this point. It's just going into additional gateways and trying to save his two bases.
Yeah.
But his opponent can now safely take a third base, which is exactly what he does, and he's way ahead in the Harvester count.
One concern of him with the third base, though, will be the fact that it's been scouted by the Oracle, and he could send those Void Rays over. Void Rays, two of them, could do a ton of damage to a hatchery. Since he didn't make an additional one, he doesn't have to worry about that quite yet. I like how he's trying to use this Oracle still to do some damage, but it's just so difficult with the Spore Crawlers he's already made in the main base.
3 kills only. I'm really wondering what exactly Sanae is going to do. He's currently taking into lair, and what you usually see is a transition into Infestation Pit, and then, of course, the Locusts. You want to have them out early, you want to have the... want to push them, but that's going to be a little bit... Yeah, I'm interested to see if he does it, and if so, how Killer reacts.
Exactly, because there are so many good builds out there right now where players are containing Protosses. Once they have the economy to drag out maybe 4 to 6 Swarm hosts, that becomes the first difficult wave they have to deal with, and it gets worse and worse. The Protosses then can't respond appropriately, especially with a late robotics tech like this. Killer will try to harass a little bit with the Void Ray and the Oracle together, and if there's only one Queen, it's not going to be enough. And in fact, there are no Queens at this base right now, and the Hydralisk Den is targeted immediately. He's going to have to cancel that.
And he did already, so this is definitely becoming a problem for him. There come those 2 air units now taking down a lot of Harvesters at the expansion. The Oracle is now being targeted, immediately moves back. Really well done so far by Killer, taking a lot of kills.
Yeah, he does lose the Oracle, but it was worth it as far as damage done. He's even going to get this Overlord on his way out if he uses his charge-up ability. It's not quite ready yet, but he should still be able to get it back.
Yeah, there we go. Overlord is dead. 11 drones are also gone. And here comes those +1/+1 upgrades for the ranged units. But the Hydralisk Den has not been started again.
Exactly. So Killer is now preparing for Hydralisk because he saw the Den, but he's not going to face any.
To be quite frank, I actually think this might be a mistake, that he thinks he restarted it.
Exactly. And there's the Infestation Pit, so a nice tech switch here. You know, this is a situation where Killer needs to make something happen on 2 bases or take a third very soon, because if he lets the Zerg sit back on 3 bases right now, it's not going to get pretty. He's also a little bit behind in upgrades compared to where you would be with a Forge Fast Expand just now getting +1 about 3/4 of the way done.
This is, of course, always the trade-off that you go for. If you have the Forge first, then you can start your +1 attack upgrade so fast in the game. With this push, or with this opening that we have for Killer, he has a lot more potential in the early game to be aggressive on his own. It's a lot riskier for the Zerg to go for a very greedy opening, but still Killer needs to make sure that he gets those upgrades, that he has a Chrono Boost ready. And Sanai right now is not only going into the Infestation period, which is already done, but he also adds the Hydralisk Den again, and now we have the Hydralisk on the production tab.
This is just starting to feel like an old school Protoss versus Zerg clash, where the Zerg player has the third base up a little bit faster than the Protoss, but he's getting Hydras out, and the Protoss has to have enough Colossi to defend his third, but he's not going to be facing only Hydralisk. He's going to be facing Heart of the Swarm Hydralisk with, it looks like, Swarm Host support. We have the increased lifetime for the Locust being researched right now. He's also getting a Spire, so there's not any type of tech that he does not have on layer right now.
What's really important when you combine the Hydralisk with the Swarm Host is that you can make sure that there are no observers. You always have 1 or 2 of your Overseers with your army, or at least you should, and then you see always what exactly is going on and can use the Hydralisk to take down eventual observers, which makes it a lot harder for the Protoss player to actually spot these Swarm Hosts and just break your contain, because that's what you're going for. You're always trying to set them up at the safe distance where the Locust range is just exactly as long as you need it, and then push into the third base natural of your opponent.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the strategy that we're going to see unfold. He's got the Overseer with his Hydras. Phoenix Scout's coming out here. He doesn't have to research Hallucinate for that. Just want to remind everybody of that fact. One thing to consider is that he will be able to make Tempest now that his Fleet Beacon is complete. And off 1 Stargate on 3 base, you can add just a few Tempests and start poking away at those Overseers. But it's really easy for the Zerg player to replace it. So Tempests alone are not going to be the answer. He has to use his Tempest with his Colossi very meticulously to be able to push these back.
Well, we just saw a bit of an overlay for you, some information that every 25 seconds 2 of those Locusts spawn. And the number is really important here, because if you have the upgrade for your Locust, this means that the Locusts actually last for 25 seconds in total. The upgrade gives them additional 10 seconds to the original 15, which means that as soon as Locusts are gone, you have immediately new ones. And this is exactly what I talked about earlier. The range, perfect for the Zerg here.
Yeah, and he's even going to be able to damage this Colossus potentially. He's actually going to lose it.
Down.
That is not ever what you want to have, but he's dealing with multi-pronged attacks here. The Locusts come in on one side, the Hydra's on the other, and those Swarm Hosts are going to keep sending the Locusts out. He will have his first Tempest ready very soon, but that's not going to be all he needs. He needs to have all of his units together, very carefully pushing forward. The Locusts are starting to damage the gateways at the natural.
This is already rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, and that Tempest cannot afford to lose it here.
This is a bad spot for him indeed. And, well, now at least he knows exactly what he's up against. And with the Spire, he's going into a few Corruptors. We only have 8 Swarm Hosts so far, but they are already doing a lot of damage, and the range is just perfect. Sanai sets his forces up in the perfect spot, and he's just making sure that they are protected by Corruptors and also by those Hydralisks.
He almost picked off the Observer with his Corruptors. Looks like he was more interested in going for the Colossi. Swarm Host adding a ton of extra DPS here, and I think he may actually, instead of just setting up a Contain, go for the aggressive move out here.
Here comes the Tempest, and immediately Corruption, and bye-bye Tempest.
Yeah, the Corruptors need to move back now. They need the support of the Swarm Hosts, which are inching closer and closer now at this point. And he doesn't want to fight against those Locusts. They're free units, so yeah, you can kill them easily, but he may lose 1 Stalker, and that's not a cost-efficient trade. Now the Tempests are in a lot of trouble.
He can't afford to lose them. He loses another one. Killer is really in trouble, and those Corruptors are giving chase, taking down Tempest number 3. They never get into a position where Killer can use them to take down Swarm Hosts.
Exactly. The Nexus adding some extra DPS here, but only at a certain range. And now he's avoiding the Nexus entirely. He's going into the natural. And the Locusts can just continue to swarm, and it doesn't matter what they attack as long as they're doing damage to something.
The Swarm Host giving Sanai the map control, and he used it perfectly. Killer is now on his last leg. He's really trying to defend, but it's so difficult for him. His opponent is on 4 bases and is just sending wave after wave of units over. Another Tempest way out of position going down here. Killer just doesn't get his army together. He can't really react. He's only reacting at this point. He can't react to this force, but he's never in a position where he can initiate a counterattack.
This is such a cool build that we are seeing here. He makes every type of tech, takes a 4th base. He's got Corruptors out to protect against the Colossi and to snipe Observers. The Swarm Host adding the extra DPS for free. And then just a few Hydros, not even very many, to make sure he has enough anti-air to deal with the Tempest with the Corruptors. And this is domination that we are seeing here. The Locust trying to be stun from step micro. That's it though. GG.
Yeah. GG indeed. That was well done by the NS HoSeo starting player. Sangho out of luck. Killer is not able to take victory in the first game. So NS HoSeo in the lead.
Yep, NS HoSeo takes a lead. And their new player showing a lot of skill already. A lot of preparation, I feel, going into this match.
You really could see that he practiced Heart of the Swarm for quite a while. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew the map, he knew how to execute this push, and he did very, very well.
Yeah, he even knew how to respond to the type of play that you thought he would see from Killer, since this map is hard to forge fast expand on. He prepared for a gateway expand build, went hatch first, then even checked for cannons just to be safe.
A nice unit mix, just making sure that all the pieces in his army are complementing each other. Very well executed, and an early lead here for NS HoSeo.
I have to say, I was nothing but impressed by the play that we just saw from him.
I'm interested to see which player will come second for MVP.
I would like to see Tassadar, to be perfectly honest. I love his builds. He's so smart, but...
Wrong team, though.
That's right. I'm just thinking ahead. I'm like, I just want to see
him
Tassadar,
too.
guys.
I want to see Tassadar later. Tassadar, Jakji, and one of the new guys.
But maybe we'll see Keen potentially now coming out.
I could see a Terran player.
I could see a Terran. I don't think another Protoss right away. Not until they deal with this style first, maybe, or at least just eliminate him and play against a different matchup. But it could be anybody. It's hard to predict. I mean, this is just our second player.
Yeah, it's definitely... I mean, they have a lot of Terrans also on their roster that they can use, so it's not like they have to rely on Keen here, but I would really love to see Commander. On the other hand, he's probably preparing a lot for his match against Raiden Rings of Liberty, which leaves me with the question, how much Heart of the Swarm could he really practice? Is he the best choice here? I feel that other players might probably be a bit better suited because they had just more time to practice for Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I don't really know MVPs who's been practicing what exactly, because I know a lot of them played in the qualifier for Code A this past one, so a lot of them preparing for that. Obviously, after their failures, they would switch over immediately, but that's still not as much time as some of the other players who've been only playing Heart of the Swarm might have
It's just a little bit tricky. This transition period is really a little bit awkward. You still have a couple of tournaments that are Rings of Liberty, you have the up and downs, but we are going to find out who the next player is just now.
And it's going to be Dream.
Yep.
So it will be a Terran.
Yep. We have a Terran, as expected, against a Zerg player. And Dream now has to try to do what Sangho couldn't. Maybe he is the one that MVP needs to take down Sanae. We're gonna find out quite soon. So guys, as usual, of course, we are jumping into a short commercial break before we start with our second match today. Keep in mind, there is a high-quality stream for the GSTL Pre-Season. If you're currently watching on Twitch, you can go to GOMTV.net and there you will find a stream in EHQ and HQ. Check that out. Make sure that you tell your friends. All those streams are completely free. The VODs as well. I'm gonna see you after a short break with game number 2. Stay tuned.